Welcome everyone to It Tastes Different Gaming News. Tonight, we're going to talk about something the EU's doing that I wish every country, including ours, would do. File a complaint against gamers. So, Epic Games, EA, and others got hit with an EU complaint over manipulative spending tactics. So, the companies that got hit with the complaint are Epic Games, Electronic Arts, Roblox, Microsoft, Activision, Blizzard, Mojang Studios, Supercell, and Ubisoft. The complaint was sent by the European Consumer Organization, BEUC, and 22 of its members from across 17 countries, and was filed with the European Commission and the European Network of Consumer Authorities. In the complaint, organizers say their alert exposes how video game industry maximizes consumer spending by using premium in-game currencies, which we all know they do really shady and shitty tactics with this, right? Like you need 925 in-game currency to buy that item, but you can't buy it outside of $5 blocks, you know? So you're gonna have to buy an extra 100 currency when, you know, and it's $5 per 500 currency or something stupid. So they're like, hey, you got to buy $10 worth of currency to get it. And so now you have $1 worth of currency that you use. So they're saying the lack of transparency of premium in-game currencies and the need to buy extra currency in bundles pushes consumers to spend more. Their statement is in-game purchases should always be displayed in real money. And they should be or at least they should display the equivalents in real world currency, right? So they're saying, hey, this thing costs whatever, but you really can't get it without spending X. They also allege that children are more vulnerable to these manipulative tactics. According to their data, children in Europe are spending on average 39, I believe that's euros, per month on in-game purchases. The Director General of the BEUC, Austin Reyna, said the online world brings new challenges for consumer protection, and it shouldn't be a place where companies bend the rules to increase profits. I guess the BEUC's members have identified numerous cases where gamers are misled into spending money. The regulators must act, making it clear that even though the gaming world is virtual, it still needs to abide by real-world rules. Gamers should need to rely on a calculator anytime they want to make an informed decision on how much they want to spend. The money they spend should be displayed in real money, and deceptive practices must be stopped. Today, premium in-game currencies are purposefully tricking consumers and take a big toll on children. Companies are well aware of children vulnerability and use tricks to lure younger consumers into spending more money. We can all attest to that. I don't know how many times I've heard Nick's kids say, Dad, can I get some V-Bucks? All of our kids have asked for some type of money for in-game currency. It's just the way it works. I need some Robux. I need some Viva. I need some whatever the hell it is. They're like, can I have this for the skin, for this, for that? Everybody's kid does it, right? It's just the nature of the beast. When I was a kid, it was like, hey, Dad, can I have a game? Now it's like, hey, Dad, can I have some V-Bucks or some Robux or some in-game money? You know? It is very deceptive. And I'll be honest, I have in Destiny, as in a perfect example, I have bought some of their in-game currency to buy, a cosmetic item or two over the years. And I've gotten bit by this is like just a hair over what it costs to buy. Like I thought, I'll buy the $5 bundle. It'll get me just enough currency to buy this. And no, I was short just like 100 of their in-game. And so I had to spend another $5 and I had an extra 480 some odd credits worth to spend on something else that I probably wasted because it is what it is. I only wanted it for the one thing. So, I mean, it is sometimes you have to go and you have to do math, I guess, and then I was just in a hurry and saw that. I'm like, oh, that's enough. $5 should be enough for that. No, it wasn't. So, I mean, it can happen, but they're right. You got to take out a calculator. Okay, I get, because it's never the same. It's never like $1 equals 100. Sometimes it is. It's usually like $1 gets you 90 or something or stupid or 110. With this bonus, we'll give you 20% bonus. If you spend $1, you get 110 coins, right? Or 110 in-game currency. So, it's stupid things like that get you. But at the same time, I just wish games would go back to the way they used to. You have a game and then you buy an expansion or you get a new game later. That's what I wish games would go back to. The old, we always make a joke about it, but the old Burger King or McDonald's thing is true. It used to be you bought a burger and then you wanted the expansion was fries and a Coke, right? Now it's like the actual game is the beef patty on the burger, and if you want this, you buy the premium or gold edition, and you get the cheese on it. And if you want extra, you got to get the lettuce and tomato. The bun's still extra. Everything is piecemealed into a game, and then when you do get it, you're like, oh man, they had purple onions. That's in-game currency, stupid stuff like that. But that's how they do it nowadays, right? They just nickel and dime you to death on every game that comes out. To some extent, microtransactions I'm okay with only if it's a free game. Microtransactions in a paid-for game is rough for me, and I struggle with that concept. It's just a way to bleed consumers dry. And I would laugh if this country did something similar to where they say everything has to be displayed in game in real world money. So, hey, you want to buy that helmet or that skin? That's $10. So I'll be like, $10. It's a lot for that, right? You're like, that's 1/6 or whatever of the cost of the game or whatever it is the game costs, You start thinking of it in percentages of that way. It probably would lower the amount of money they make because it's a little bit, everything that's hidden helps increase sales, right? If it's bad, then it helps increase sales. They could be equated to every part of your entire life, whether it's buying food at the grocery store or buying stuff at a restaurant or fast food or whatever. If they actually posted everything to where it's easy to read, you would probably be like, ooh, maybe not. Maybe I don't want that, when I was younger, well, we all got taught, I'm sure we all got taught this when we were younger. When you're price shopping at the grocery store, you do the unit price comparison. You don't look at the overall price and be like, this brand is $10 and this brand is $8. You always do the unit price comparison to see which is the better deal to get when you're like grocery shopping. That probably hurt some of these companies out there, and they all had to like shift around to figure out how to make it work better and to throw off your unit price to be where there seems like it's worth more, things like that. So I wish we would do something. There would be complaints or things like that over in this country, because there's nothing more that I hate than loot boxes, in-game currencies, and all that crap. It just ruins the gaming experience, in my opinion, because it wants you to spend more than that $60 or $70 you just spent, or $50 in some of these cases. $40, $50, $60 you just spent for a game. They want you to spend another $5, $10 every time they do a new season. $15. New season runs 6 weeks. We need to get that $15 out of you, or $20 on some of them every 6 weeks. New season, new battle pass, new in-game currency increase. It's stupid. Shane, what do you think about this EU complaint and the bad tactics that these game developers and game publishers, I guess, because publishers have some say in what games do sometimes?
Good for the EU, PU for the game developers. We've complained about this. I mean, we're an older generation, except for Nick. He's still a wee baby, but we're an older generation. We grew up. You bought a game, you could play the game, you could beat the game, you could go sell the game, get a new game. That was the way we grew up. Yes, I'm old, I know, but that doesn't change the fact of what this is wrong. When Nick, when you're probably the last one to receive the V-Bucks question, right? Or Fortnite buck, or whatever the hell a bucket is. Because it's been a while since I've heard a skins question. Can I buy this thing? So have they ever came up and said, hey, I need 1,000 V-Bucks? Or did they say, Dad, I need $10 to buy V-Bucks? Did they ask you for the V-Buck amount or the actual cash amount? Do you remember by chance?
I think both.
Okay.
I usually will, when they ask, I want so much V-Bucks, I say, well, how much is that?
Gotcha.
Like how much money do I have to spend to equal to that?
Yeah. So if my kid was to come up and ask me tomorrow, say, Dad, I want to buy some V-Bucks, and I will say, how much? If he gives me the $10 amount, or if he gives me the V-Buck amount, I'm going to say, how much is that? And, swap the currency value. because like Pat said, you buy $10, you're not getting an equivalent number on it. You are getting a partial number. So you are either going to have leftover, a little leftover. So you have to buy another one because you don't want to have leftover. You gotta wipe it out, or you're going to come just under, but then you got to buy an extra amount. And then what happens? You're still going to have leftover. That's the way these things are done. And 90% of this is geared towards a younger gamer.
It's the modern day gift card scam, right? Gift card companies used to hope that you wouldn't spend all the money on the gift card.
Exactly. And it's scummy. We have said this for years now, and it's only gotten worse. What was that free to play that we were playing there for quite a bit? Last Ascendant. Same problems there. First thing Pat did was pulled up the skins and stuff and did some math on there. None of it worked out to an even amount where you could just straight up buy it if you were to buy the in-game currency. In-game currency, this thing costs $600, but you could only buy it in 5s and 8s and maybe 1,000s. So it's a ripoff and a scam to the customers. My biggest complaint about this is, why doesn't our government try to regulate this in any goddamn form or fashion? They don't, because ours is a lot easier to buy. The government, not the V-Bucks. So it really goddamn, pardon my language, it really bothers me that we have no protections from this. And I also think we always say, vote with your wallet on these things, but problem is, people aren't paying attention. People are not voting with their wallet. They just, they accept it. And that's a problem. You cannot accept these things, because then it gets worse. We were talking about the PlayStation 5 Pro coming out and why the value is what it is, because we're going to accept it. And then when, like Pat said, PlayStation 6 come out, you're going to have to sell 2 grandmas and a toe so you can afford it. That's because we accepted it at this, at this price. You're going to accept it at this price later. That's what the gaming industry has turned into. It used to be an industry of art and entertainment and fun and relaxation and community. And now it's all about investors and profits. This is one of the biggest problems with our gaming industry. And I'm happy that EU is getting in on this, and they're going to approach it. And whether or not anything comes of it, I don't know. But hopefully something does come of it, and other countries will follow suit. Like, look, if you say it costs this much V-Bucks, they need to put the equivalent exchange right next to it. Or just take out the V-Buck altogether. Just say $10, $10.85. Quit forcing people to pay the extra to get what they want, and then stuck with the leftovers, so they feel guilty, and then they have to buy the extra. Just stop all that. I mean, I don't think it would hurt like Fortnite as bad, because Fortnite is a living, breathing V-Buck machine. So I think you could change the V-Buck to actual cash and stop doing all the extra stuff. I don't think it would hurt Fortnite too much. Now, other games, smaller games, it may affect them, like Apex. I don't know what their currency is called, but it might affect them a little bit more just because they're not as huge as Fortnite. So, but it's got to stop. And I'm thankful that EU is at least looking into it. Whether anything happens, I don't know. It's still, it's probably just government stuff trying to make themselves look good. But
yeah, and that First Descendant was bad, but it was also a free to play game. I think when we added it up to unlock one of like the ultimate Descendants, you had to spend 5,000 of their caliber, and to get 5,000 caliber, you had to spend $100, and you got 5,750 caliber. Right? If you did the cheaper plan, it only got you like 3,900 or whatever. So you were spending $100 to get a high level character, or to get a character quicker, because you can't earn this stuff in the game. It just takes freaking forever. Yeah, because we played a lot for a long time, and I never felt like I was making any headway towards like an ultimate, an ultimate descendant.
No. I think I got a shiny jockstrap, and that was about it.
Yeah, so and that's $100 for 5,750 caliber. So and it's stupid, but it is what it is.
It is. Nick, what about you, bud? I mean, you have the youngest one in the group. We all have matching teens, but you still have the youngest one in the group. Are you gonna start limiting her to how much cash? What is the dollar amount? Don't tell me V-Bucks. Don't tell me J-Bucks or R-Bucks or whatever the bucket is. Make her tell you cash. This way she has to do the math.
Well, I always do because I know, I'm a gamer as well. So I know that currency does not equal the same.
But you got to make her look at it. So she'd be like, wait a minute.
You
I'm getting screwed, father.
Many points, how much does that equal out to cash? Because there's a difference between those. But that's always been, it's always been that way, and it does need to change. But that's good for the EU. Hopefully something will happen from that. Nothing will happen here. We're pretty much set in our ways. We don't, anything that helps the consumer is bad. No. So, so nothing's going to happen here in the US. But that's good. I wish they would change over to that because I hate. We could easily do the math, but I hate having to do the math, right? I hate looking at something and going, okay, here's a cosmetic. It's 700 whatever bucks. Okay, how many do I need to buy? Well, this one will get me that. So I have to pay this amount of money to get this amount of whatever dollars or fake currency so I can buy that thing, which of course you're always going to have leftovers. So it's like, but the leftover I have doesn't buy anything. So now I'm either stuck with this or this is how they get you. You go, well, I'll just add a little bit more. I'll buy another smaller pack, add to that, and then use that to buy something else. Right. And so that's where they get you with that stuff. Cause I think I still have some currency left in Destiny. I might still have some currency left in the First Descendant. There's some games I have currency left in that I've bought in currency for. So, I'm definitely part of the problem, I guess, when it comes to that. I've definitely bought in stuff for games, microtransactions, but it's still, I don't like them. But Shane's exactly right. With all these different things is we as a society, not just in gaming, but in a lot of things, we just accept it, right? We just accept these things without fighting back. And I'm not saying I'm part of the problem as well, but we all just accept these things. And then we sit there and bitch about why things are the way they are. Well, they are because we've accepted them. The companies say, hey, this is what you have to do. And we were like, okay. And, and then later on we bitch about it, but it's like, well, you kind of, like the PlayStation 5 Pro that Shane brought up, it's $700. If that sells well, that just tells Sony that they can, that was fine, right? That putting it at $700 there was no problem with that, right? It still sold well, which means PlayStation 6 can be $800, $900, and it'll still sell well, right? I read an article that the PlayStation 5 external hard drives were sold out, and they were just recently back in stock on PlayStation Direct and GameStop. And it's like, you already got people going out and buying all the external hard drives so they can get ready for the Pro. People are going to go out and buy the Pro. The Pro is probably not going to do, the disk drive. Not the hard drive, but the disk drive. The Pro is probably going to do well. It's probably not going to do as well as, I think even the PlayStation 4 Pro didn't do as well as the PlayStation 4, right? It only sold like a small percentage, and this is probably going to be the same case for the Pro as well. But it's probably going to sell well enough that Sony's going to be like, okay, it was worth doing so, right, and doing a mid-gen bump and putting it out there for that price and selling it. So And I say it's going to sell well because that's typically how things go. When things are so stupid and people should not buy them because they're so stupid, not the people, just the product is stupid, right? And a company is selling it for you, but you have people out there that are so committed, like the company gave them their first car and their house and they're just paying them back. It's like they didn't do jack for you, but okay. And you're just so committed and you're so on the side of that company or that thing that no matter what that company does or what thing they release, you're not objective about the things that they do. You're just like, okay, you follow in line, right? Like, oh, PS5 Pro, cool. I'm going to go buy one. Why? It's Sony. Like, well, no, I mean, I would be complaining even if it was Microsoft putting out a $700 box as a mid-gen bump, right? I mean, it's ridiculous any way you look at it. There was a lot of ridiculous things that, it was kind of like when we were talking about the PlayStation Portal back in the day. I mean, that's a ridiculous piece of hardware. But it sold well enough, right? At least well enough that they're still selling it and probably like, hey, that was a pretty good turn, I mean, it wasn't super expensive, but again, it's like, did you really need it? I don't know. And then you go online, you go into Reddit and people are like, oh, I'm just sitting back with my PlayStation Portal. It's like when you do posts like that, that just means you're trying to me, it feels like you're just trying to make yourself feel good about the purchase you've made.
Validate it.
Validate, right. You're trying to validate your purchase other than saying like, giving some good or bad pros or cons about the particular device. You're just saying, oh yeah, and that's fine and all. If you want to be, if you want to be all excited about the product that you have, that's fine. But don't go online and like shout to people that you're trying to validate your purchase to them. That look what I have, and it's the coolest thing ever. I can't believe it. And it's like, no, it's not the coolest thing ever. It's stupid. I love video games and everything gaming wise, but when I see something stupid, I'm going to call it out and say that's stupid. And don't support companies that do that. Otherwise, they're going to sell you more stupid crap. So, yeah, that's my piece.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with, and we just mentioned, I don't have a problem with buying in-game currency for a free-to-play game. Like we played a lot of what is the First Descendant or the Last Descendant or whatever the hell its name is, the Last Dependent. I don't know. That's what the game feels like because it's a dependent FD. But we played it for well over a month, and I'm like, cool. We put time into it. I'm gonna buy some money. I'm gonna put some money into it to get in-game stuff because when I was young and into gaming, MMOs were big, right? And you spent $50, $60 on MMO plus $15 a month. So to me, that was already normalcy, right? To do something like that. And, so I have no problem with a free-to-play game model. My problem is free-to-play games, free-to-play games monetization is predatory. It's not like $20 will get you a crap ton, right? $20 won't get you shit in a free-to-play game. It'll get you one or two items and then that's it, right? For the most part, $20 in those games doesn't get you very far. The problem that I have is where the full price game has a predatory monetization scheme just like that. And you're like, $20 to get this in-game item when I just paid you $60. That shit pisses me off to no end. And for that, I've learned my lesson. I did it in Destiny. I don't do it anymore. If you're giving me a paid for game, you're not getting any of my money for in-game purchases. It better be in the damn game. And as far as Sony PlayStation goes, I think it's going to sell. And the driving force is because there's plenty of players out there who just want the FOMO. They got the currently the best thing out there. But Sony also has a game plan in place where they're making remasters for only the PS5. They're going to have remasters out there, and they're going to charge you full price for the game. It's a $60, $70 game, right? That's their plan. They're going to put out, because we already heard it. Was it Bloodborne? I think was one that we were chatting about yesterday, that they're coming out with a remaster or an HD upscale or whatever, and it's only going to be on the PS5 Pro. So they're going to do things like that. They're going to be like, you want to see this in the latest and greatest upscaling and polishing of this game? You need a PS5 Pro. It's the only way you're going to get it. And that's going to sell people. They're going to be like, oh yeah, I love Bloodborne. I'd like to see how it looks now with this remastering done to it, or anything like that. To me, stuff, and this is just me as a gamer, I am not the same as like Nick, and Shane for that matter, because they have these games that if they remaster them, they just have to play them. I'm one of those people who's like, I already played that. I don't give a shit if you remastered The Last of Us. I played it once. I don't need to play it again. And things like that. And really, to entice me on a remaster, it has to have been something that I haven't seen in 10, 15, 20 years, right? Like if you remaster a 15-year-old game that I loved, I may be on board for it. Maybe. But like Nick's got a nostalgic. Nick has a lot. It's funny. Nick's the youngest, but
just
Nick
say
plays,
addiction. It's an addiction.
No, it's not. No, Nick is the youngest of us, but I swear he's got more nostalgia for retro than Shane and I combined.
Oh, easily beats anybody in our group.
Yeah, anybody. To the point to where he'll have the same game 2 and 3 copies. He's got it when it originally came out, when they remastered it 10 years ago, and then when it just came out just now, right? I typically don't do that. Shane does it sometimes, but not as much as Nick does, and everybody has their own little thing. And if Sony came out with something like that Nick just had to have, it might be a console seller for him, but I don't know. They'd have to remaster something. Like, I'm kind of surprised Bloodborne's not doing it for you. You're like, I want to play the remastered Bloodborne.
I mean, the article that was talking about that was just talking about how the PS5 Pro is going to enhance titles, kind of like, being able to run them faster and stuff. So it wasn't.
I believe that's part of that AI, isn't it, Nick?
Yeah. So it wasn't actually a official like remake or remaster of the game. It was basically saying, hey, when you play it on here, it's going to be able to run it quicker and stuff. And it was like, oh wow.
Now, Forza, not Forza, Gran Turismo.
Kind of like what Xbox did,
now,
right?
That one is getting getting a full blown update?
Yeah, like I mean, it's going to get an update. There's a lot of these games that are going to get updates in the PS5 Pro.
Yeah, and Xbox did that last year. I think Sony did, last year too. But my thing is like if they actually come out with a true remaster, and I didn't realize Bloodborne wasn't. I thought because I read articles that said Bloodborne is finally getting a remaster, so I assume the
article was
from
deceiving.
Software. Yeah, From Software was doing that. So if it's just them upscaling it, whatever. But I mean, like a true, like I don't know why any developer would do this. Make a remaster of something and only put it on like a niche console. What I mean niche is a percentage of the gaming population is going to buy this.
Sony wouldn't be dividing their player base. Like I wouldn't think.
Sony wouldn't be dividing their player base. They're pushing their player base to the Pro.
Right. I mean, if they were to do that, if they were to release it just for, because
they're not guide. Sony's shoving that finger right up.
It's just like the Xbox One X, right? If they started making One X only games, which they never did, right? And that would be the same thing here if they made PS5 Pro only titles. Now, there are certain features, just like the One X, that can only be taken into account on the PS5 Pro, but you're still going to have the same games on both sides, no matter what.
Well, it's where you see the
at least
in the game store, you'll see the game, and then you'll see the game right next to the game, but it just says X and S.
Right.
So
it has like the PS5 Pro sticker on it or something.
Yeah.
Now, Pat, did you play? I don't think you were ever a big Metal Gear Solid fan.
No,
you never played 3, right?
I have not played a single Metal Gear game except for the one that we played.
Okay, you played 5.
That really crappy multiplayer one.
You played the worst
one. The Metal Gear Metally
Revive. It wasn't even a Metal Gear game. It just had a name. It just had
exactly.
All that stuff came out before I really heard about the franchise. I wasn't a big PlayStation player when I was younger. It was like I had Xbox, I had my PC, I had Sega. I mean, I had every Sega system until they went out of business. And so Sony was kind of in there, and I wasn't really the biggest Sony console person. I had my Xbox and then I had my Segas and stuff like that. I had Sega CD, Sega Saturn, Sega Dreamcast, all that stuff, but never got into PlayStation. That's where that stuff was big on. So I never got into it. By the time I found out about some of these series, I'm a little bit, as anybody's listened to, I I have a hard time playing something that looks old and feels old. I'm a graphic snob in that concept where I'm like, I can't get into this. It's too weird looking. Like Shane's like big into like Final Fantasy VIII.
I mean, a little, just little.
But I tried it and I looked at it and I'm like, man, I just cannot get into this. This polygon is just, I'm like, no, it looks bad to me. Even though it might be the greatest game alive, I just can't get into it because my eyes are telling, I enjoy life through vision. And to me, that ruins a little bit of it for me. I'm like, it's bad. So if they remaster it like they did, because I never played 7 neither. If they remaster it or remake it like they did Final Fantasy 7, I'm first on board. I want to try it. And so if they do the same thing to Metal Gear, I would jump into that.
Yeah. So Metal Gear, the reason I brought it up, before we go, Metal Gear Solid 3, they're doing a full-blown remake. And now that was a huge game, and it was one of the best in the series, the entire series, even better than the multiplayer one we played. What a piece of shit. Anyways, so that's what I was trying to get at. So that's a type of game that I can easily go back to because it is one time frame. The originally came out to the remaster comes out. That is a good time frame. Plus you're getting a difference of game as far as graphics, controls, play, all of that's going to be updated for more of the new feel.
And obviously it's going to be a PlayStation only game. Right? You think so?
I don't remember if that was or not. I don't believe it was. Metal Gear Solid 3 Omega, I believe it's called.
Oh.
But that to me, that's when games deserve remasters and can be put back out. But anyways, back to what the actual story is here. Nick, I think it's actually your turn. I think we actually cut you off.
No, I talked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he did. He was just like, he was done. So yeah, it looks like that one's going to come out on everything. So no real big reason for me to buy a PS5 Pro. I would honestly, if I get it, it's going to be on everything. So I might even play it on PC is where I'd probably most likely play it. And that's just because, I have been playing mostly PC lately, and my PC blows away the PS5 Pro, the PS5 and the Xbox, all of it, so it like all of us, my PC is way more stacked than my console would be. So
yeah, same.
No, but yeah, so let us know what you think down in the comments about all of this. Do you think that the US should step in and do something similar to what the EU is trying to push through? And what do you think about microtransactions? What do you think about microtransactions in a free-to-play game and microtransactions in a full-price game? Are you on board with us, or are you just, maybe the younger generation knows no different, right? So maybe it's no big deal to them like it is us. It's just because things are different, right? We went from game to expansion to game, DLC, and then we went from disassembled game with microtransactions with DLC after DLC and season pass. Now they just stack it all together. They come out with season pass, then they go, okay, we're going to add that on with DLCs. We're going to have year one passes and all this fun stuff. What do you think about all this and the bleeding of the gamers dry?
You did forget update.
Yeah, but those are free. Updates are free,
I'm surprised they're going to start charging that shit.
Well, we're all in trouble if you're playing Call of Duty or something, with their yearly updates and freaking 100 gig freaking updates. We got a 10 gig update day one, guys. How about a 50? So let us know what you think down in the comments, and as always, you've reached the end of this video. If you're not subscribed, help us out so we can talk more trash on video games, BS like we always do. We're just a group of friends who talk about video games all the time. So we decided to do a YouTube channel, and it'd be nice if we can, get some money to spend on more gaming crap, just not frivolously and not on DLC or not on microtransactions and full price games. So let us know what you think down in the comments. And as always, we hope you enjoyed this episode and hope to catch you in the next one.
See ya.